So, if any of you have been following me in my saga of life, you know that I'm making a lot of videos from this job site. I wanted to be done this a long time ago, and I wish I had been, but things have not gone as planned. It's a renovation of a house that has had a few issues. The humidity has not allowed things to dry the way we've wanted to. Things have just been held up. I mean, you've got different tradesmen that you got to wait for, and I'm still waiting on tradesmen to get things done, to take the next step, and things just don't go as planned. It's frustrating, isn't it? Frustrating when you've got these ideas, and not only do you have ideas for finishing one job, but you have ideas for what you're going to do next, and you can't move to the next step because one thing or another hasn't been completed, and the next thing you know, you're falling behind and you're wondering, am I really accomplishing what I wanted in my life? Am I going where I wanted to in my life? Am I being the person that I wanted to be? And a lot of times it can get really depressing when we stop and we consider that we're not where we wanted to be. We look at our life and said, at this point in my life, this is what I had hoped, and that's not where we're at. But here's the thing. God says, man can make his plans, but the steps of man are ordered by God. See, God puts us in a place. God puts us in a time. God allows us to have certain things happen in our life. Sometimes to slow us up, sometimes to speed us up, sometimes to keep us at the right pace. But God orders our steps so that we would experience him. Sometimes it's hard to believe that. Sometimes it's hard to recognize that when you're in the middle of something and saying, this is where I'm supposed to experience God in the midst of all this turmoil, in the midst of all this frustration, in the midst of all this disappointment, in the midst of all this pain, in the midst of all this suffering. And the list goes on. We said, is this where we're supposed to meet God? And God said, yeah, that's where I am. I'm in the place where you need to trust me most. See, if we don't need to trust God, if we don't need to rely on God, if we don't need to allow God to be the answer to every one of our questions, then we're no longer experiencing God, but we're experiencing self. And God said, I want you to experience me. So despite the fact that you might be going through some difficulties, despite the fact that your projects might not be going as planned, despite the fact that you might not be getting the things done that you wanted to get done, know that this is where God has you, and God has you there for a reason, that you might seek the Lord, though he be not far from every one of us. For in him we live, we move, and we have our being, and our projects get done in his time. God bless you. Bye for now.